guys, I'm back with another page in my Pocket Page notebook, and I'm going to use some digital stamps to create a background today. So this is the photo I want to use. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on the left as well, but on this right hand page I want to create a background using some of the Kellie Stamps digital stamps from this month. So I've opened a new document in Photoshop. It can be any size you want, but this one is A4. And I'm just going to start placing some of the stamps. So I am placing the PNG files from the Fantastic Together stamp set. And I'm just going to place down any that I think might go with this photo. So there was definitely a popcorn one, and so I'm just adding a whole bunch of other words, excited and happy and day and here and all sorts of ones. So I'm just going to file, place, choosing my file, placing it on the document and hitting OK. And so now I have got all of my stamps together. I'm going to line them all up so that they're in 2 rows. So I'm just starting with the first row here, just selecting the layer with the stamp on it and then shifting it across to line it up. I put down a guideline just so I can check that they're all relatively straight. Even though they've all come in the same place, they might be a little bit out of line. Just going to move these ones away from the ones I've placed down just so I can make it a bit easier to see. So that's my sort of first line, and so I'm going to start a second line of stamps as well. Just doing the exact same thing, lining them up, rearranging them so that they're in the right sort of order. You can see my first line of stamps has got a bit of an extra one there, so I'm just going to delete that so that the 2 lines of stamps I've got are roughly the same length. And then all I'm doing is selecting the layers from one row and merging them together. So, and doing the same thing for the second row. So now I have just 2 layers with one with each line of stamps on it. So I'm just sort of roughly centering them together, and then I am going to duplicate both of those lines. And just move them over so they're not sitting directly on top of each other. And I'm going to repeat that process a few times. So I'm just creating my pattern here. It's not an exact pattern. I'm just using the same words, the same lines of words that I've created, and just moving them about, duplicating them. And then once I've got a few lines, which is what I've done, I'm going to start duplicating the separate lines so that I can fill in these blank spaces I've got here. What I'm attempting to do is to create a block that is fully covered by all of these stamps. So when a stamp has like line 1, I'm filling in the other sides of it with line 2, etc. So none of the lines repeat the same stamps. And then once I've done that, I can merge all of those together and then duplicate those and move them down until my entire page is covered with these stamps. And then one more time, I'm going to select all those layers and merge them, so now I have one layer that is completely full of the stamps. Just going to double click that layer, which will bring up my layer style palette, and then I can choose color overlay and pick any color I want. But actually what I want to do is I want to create a gradient overlay, so I'm going to untick color overlay and tick gradient overlay instead. So you can see it goes from light grey at the top to dark grey at the bottom. And so all I'm going to do is change those 2 colours to something more appropriate for my photo. So I'm thinking I'm going to choose the pink and the yellow sort of out of my photo, the pink background and the yellow of the popcorn. So I'm just choosing those 2 colours, and you can see that's changed that there. And then I'm just simply going to play around until I like the way the gradient looks. And once I'm happy with that, I can choose OK. And then all I've got to do is crop down this piece until it's the right size for my traveler's notebook. So I'm just typing in 11 by 21 centimeters. Then I can resize that and reposition that until I'm happy with how it looks. And once I'm happy, I just hit enter, and here's my piece for my traveler's notebook. So I can just go ahead and print that on some regular printer paper. Here's the background piece now, all printed out, so I can just trim that down and it will fit on my page perfectly. just going to glue this down with some tape runner. Like I said, it's just printed out on just some regular printer paper, so it's not going to make my notebook too bulky. Just sticking that down, messed that up a little bit on the bottom, but that looks all good. And now I've just got my pocket page piece to put in, which is what I'm going to do some stamping on. Now this makes it really easy because I can trim down a separate piece of paper and do my stamping on that. And that way, if I stuff up the stamping like I regularly do, it won't matter, I can stamp another piece and pop that on. So I've just glued down my photo so I can get a rough mark of where I want my stamping to start. And then I'm going to use this Grant Street Alpha from Kellie Stamps as well, just to stamp out my title. I'm working from the right to the left and doing a terrible job of keeping it straight, as you can see. I mean, does that become my like trademark stamping technique? Totally unstraight stamping. So I'm stamping from right to left, so just to make sure I get all of the words in there, and I want everything to sort of line up onto the right hand side, and that way if I need to trim my piece down, I can trim it on the left. Just about done, and that is my title finished. So now I can just sneak in a tiny bit of journaling. And I'm just doing it vertically so that it fits into this little gap. And then that's going to go in there. So I'm just going to trim that down just a bit so that it fits into my pocket. And I want to add just a few of these little enamel, they're not dots, well some are dots, these little enamel hearts. And they've got no stick left on them. I must have left them for so long without a packet and they've sort of dried up and they don't stick properly. So I'm just sticking them down with my Martha Stewart glue pen. So I'm just adding 2 on the left and 1 on the right just to tie the 2 pages together. And that's how you can make a totally custom background paper using digital stamps, perfect for the photo you want to use in your traveler's notebook. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!